Chapter 31. Tales from the Crypt Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Dullahan was not moving from the center of the room. As if it was gauging its enemy's strength, the Dullahan was not moving from its stance. It was as if it was waiting to find the right moment to strike. Adrian then observed the situation carefully. Unique monsters have different behaviors compared to their counterparts. Not only do their stats vary differently but also their skills. Normal Dullahans have a weakness that pertains to their head. When a Dullahan's head was dealt with damage, it would weaken considerably and lose fighting power. For a Dullahan, the head is considered its main power source. Well, at least in past video games that was the case. Adrian could not contain the itch to attack, so he initiated the battle. Sirius Howl, Canlayan Fire Dragon's Breath, Adrian commanded. As if a start signal was launched, the Dullahan then slammed its fists on the ground and created two craters. From the craters it pulled out a sword and a shield that had the same aesthetics as its armor. The Dullahan went to its battle stance and used the shield to block Canlayan's breath. Seeing its breath being blocked, Canlayan stopped firing it and circled the Dullahan instead and waiting for the precise moment to strike. Sirius then charged at the Dullahan with vigor. Sensing Sirius charging to it, the Dullahan also charged with its sword to confront Sirius. The Dullahan, now apparently distracted Canlayan, fired its breath hoping to damage the enemy. As if having eyes at the back of its head, it raised its shield to block the breath attack. Unexpectedly, the shield was blown away from an explosion. Adrian also went to the offensive and timed the space mine to explode the moment the Dullahan's shield would block the breath attack. Sirius Phantom Rush, Adrian commanded. Like watching a beautiful dance, Sirius attacked the Dullahan at the places where the breath attack was not hitting while also dodging the mana spheres that Adrian was bombarding. The Dullahan tried its best to protect itself from the bombardment of the attacks, but it could not take the damage anymore and entered its berserk mode. A shock wave erupted from the Dullahan and pushed Adrian and his soulbounds towards the wall, smashing, thereby receiving a small amount of damage. The shock wave cancelled all the skills that was targeting the Dullahan and its flame coated its weapons. As Adrian and his soulbounds recover from the shock wave, the Dullahan slammed its sword and shield together and the flaming weapons merged. From the sword and the shield, a flaming spear was created. The Dullahan twirled the spear as if practicing its skills with it. After a brief moment of showing its skill prowess, the Dullahan stopped and raised its right hand. The ground below the Dullahan cracked and a neigh could be heard coming from the cracks. After a few seconds the cracks widened and from it a horse emerged. After fully emerging, the floor returned back to normal as if nothing came out of it. The horse has whitish-blue flames that replaced its mane and tail, which was complemented by its black color. The horse's eyes was red and its hoofs produces the same flame when it strikes the ground. The horse was also covered in armor of silver and its breathing was powerful that it produced small gusts of wind from its nose. Of course Adrian and his soulbounds are not idle, but they were forced to be. An invisible force was holding them to their battle stances. This was probably the cut scene for the battle with the Dullahan, which happens rarely. Only important boss monsters have cut scenes, and it usually means there was a follow-up quest. Boss monsters like these were rare and hard to find because they were a one-time thing. A few top guilds managed to find some of these boss monsters during a broadcast and managed to slay it, leading them to a more powerful boss monster with unique drops. Unique drops can be skill books, loots, and maybe even job advancements, since they were after all special. The Dullahan boarded his mighty steed, and that was when the invisible force holding Adrian and his soulbounds disappeared. Adrian inspected the Dullahan to check the remaining HP it had left. Monster. Dullahan, mounted, LVL 18 HP, 1100/2000. Adrian could not believe his eyes. The Dullahan's HP doubled. It was a blessing that the damage he dealt still took effect. If it didn't, he would have called Atlas Incorporated and berate their game designers that it was unfair and unplayable. Adrian was in thought of what should he do next when the Dullahan charged toward Sirius. It's a pain that undead do not bleed, which limited Sirius' damage output. Sirius dodged just before the spear landed, but Sirius was still struck by the spear as it was swung towards him by the Dullahan. 250 HP, this is going to be a problem, Adrian muttered. Adrian and Canlayan charged towards the Dullahan, intercepting it from finishing off Sirius. Canlayan parried the spear with its tail while Adrian punched the steed's legs in order to throw off the Dullahan, but the horse endured and managed to kick Adrian, but he blocked it using his gauntlets that resulted in him getting pushed back. His lips curved into a smile because of the sudden realization. 100 HP, he managed to inflict damage to the Dullahan by attacking the steed, which means they are connected, but that also means he would not be able to throw off the Dullahan from its steed. No matter, the bigger the target the easier to hit it, Adrian said, smirking. Canlayan, use Fire Dragon's Breath, Adrian commanded. Adrian thought that the Dullahan would not be able to block the breath, but contrary to his expectations, the Dullahan twirled its spear, blocking the breath attack. Adrian was shocked but recovered from it quickly and once again tried to attack the steed while the Dullahan was occupied in defending itself from the breath attack. The steed, seeing Adrian charging towards it, again moved away. Canlayan stopped its breath attack and panting, which is an indication that he is low on stamina. Sirius, recovering from the damage of the swing, bared its fangs, seemingly angry for it getting flung by an attack. Canlayan charged towards the Dullahan again despite the exhaustion it shows. The Dullahan then did an unexpected thing by throwing its spear and aiming at Canlayan. 600 HP. Chapter 32. Tales from the Crypt Part 2. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The spear hit Canlayan and sent him flying towards the wall and pinned him in it. The spear pierced through him and he keeps struggling to take out the spear that pierced his torso. Adrian took this chance to attack the unarmed Dullahan. He thought to deliver as much damage as possible before the Dullahan manages to retrieve its spear. As he was a few inches in delivering the punch, the Dullahan's spear flew towards it, spinning in a circle motion. Canlayan roared as if giving Adrian a warning, and he managed to catch Adrian's attention. Adrian was the spear flying towards him and managed to dodge by using his wings and flew quickly to the side. Due to the abrupt nature of his movement, he lost balance and tumbled a few feet away. Adrian managed to recover his footing, but the Dullahan caught its spear and is now again in its battle stance. Adrian took a peek at Sirius and Canlayan's HP. Name: Sirius LVL, 13 HP, 232/500. Name: Canlayan LVL, 9 HP, 30/700. Sirius and Canlayan's HP is low. Adrian thought it was now the time to use the skill Invigorate. His soulbounds gained back half their HP and increased their damage output. The Dullahan then charged at Adrian, which switched his aggro to him because of the healing skill. Seeing the Dullahan charging towards him, Adrian detonated a space mine, attempting to distract the Dullahan but failed the attempt. The Dullahan still charging towards him, Adrian tried to dodge but was struck by the sudden force swing. 75 HP. Adrian was shocked because the damage was not that high compared to what Canlayan and Sirius got dealt with. Adrian then started to deduce why did the damage reduce. He recalled that when the Dullahan counter-attacked Canlayan, it was after it blocked his breath attack. It also attacked Sirius after it was bombarded by the damage. It seems this Dullahan has an ability to empower its attacks depending on the damage it has blocked or accumulated. Now, having an idea on what to do, Adrian commanded his soulbounds to use the hit and run tactic instead of ganging up on the Dullahan. Adrian blasted mana orbs in order to deal bits of damage and to distract the Dullahan, since Sirius deals the most damage with Canlayan being second. Due to the pressure of switching damage dealers, the Dullahan was not able to pick a target easily and only dealt small bits of damage to Adrian and his soulbounds. Now, having a working tactic, it only took a matter for time before the Dullahan's HP became low. Monster. Dullahan, mounted, LVL 18 HP, 100 out of 2000. When the Dullahan had only 100 HP left, its spear became blood red in color and the Dullahan swung it in a 360 degrees sideways motion, and a red crescent wave of energy was sent and it hit Adrian and his soulbound, scraping of a flat value of 50% their total HP. It seems it was like a last final move of the boss before dying as Canlaon finished it with its breath skill killing the Dullahan. The Dullahan gave tons of experience points as expected for a unique boss monster. Player Equinox has leveled up, Sirius has leveled up, Canlaon has leveled up, Canlaon has leveled up, Canlaon jumped to level 11 and it was now 5 meters long, which had Adrian shaking his head figuring if Canlaon would continue to grow longer. If Canlaon did grow longer per level up, will he not become too big to bring to dungeons but would be pretty bad. Ass as a mount. Now that Canlaon was level 11 it now have stats, but Adrian was disappointed that it did not evolve but would investigate the reason after the dungeon. Adrian gladly inspected Canlaon's stats and holy mother of all, it was OP. He also checked Sirius stats to check on his progress as well. Name: Canlaon. Species: Fire Dragon LVL 11 HP 500/1000 MP 100/1200 EXP 3. 5% per 100% skills. Active skills, expand, passive skills, expand, VIT. 50 STR, 70 int. 120 AGI. 45 dex. 60 end. 75 evolution. Possible, expand, name. Sirius species: Demon Wolf LVL 14 HP 300/540 MP 250/360 EXP 3.5% per 100% skills. Active skills, expand, passive skills, expand, VIT. 27 STR 75 int. 36 AGI. 80 dex. 50 end. 50 evolution. Possible, expand. It seems Canlaon was more of a wizard, though something like a buff muscular wizard. Sirius is more like a warrior that specializes in speed instead of defenses. Now Adrian really needs a summon that could be a supporter or a healer. He now realized the need for him to have one because boss monsters usually have inflated stats to deal with player parties. He could either join his best friend's party, but due to the uniqueness of his circumstance, it now became difficult to help him in power leveling. He was still in a trance until the Dullahan started talking to him, which snapped him out of it. "Thank you, young Asmodean, for releasing me from my curse. I am just a wayward warrior that has lost his way. If you choose to help me in my quest for revenge, I would be very happy, but if you choose not to strike my core and end my suffering, for I do not want to be trapped here any longer." The Dullahan said, but more like the voice was not spoken, instead was heard inside Adrian's head. Adrian thought for a second if he should help the Dullahan that was a pain to combat. He looked around to check if there was loot that dropped when they defeated it, but there was not, which means the loot will drop when he strike the Dullahan's core, but if he did accept his request, maybe, just maybe. He pondered if he should accept the quest that this Dullahan wants to give him. It also seems that this was not the end of the dungeon, since he has not encountered the Gravekeeper. "Okay, then I will hear your request," Adrian said, unsure if he would ever regret this decision. He did not know that this decision was the start of his rise to become the No. 1 Summoner in Pandemonium. Chapter 33. Tales from the Crypt Part 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you, young Asmodean, for hearing request. You can just call me Dullahan, for I have long forgotten my name. I shall now tell you the reason for me to be driven to this sorry state, the Dullahan said. The Dullahan continued, "It was after the war with what my lord called them, the Corruptants." When Adrian heard the name Corruptants, his ears perked up and listened with improved concentration. If you have guessed by now, I was once a knight for my Asmodean lord, and he was a summoner as well. Anyway, back to the story. My lord was injured in the fight and used his last bit of his life force to seal a remnant of the Corruptants. This remnant was used by the Asmodeans as one of the important seals that repels the Corruptants from opening a breach from their world to this world, the Dullahan said. Bedodem Adrian stopped the Dullahan from his story because he heard a prompt that came from the system, which the Dullahan was not pleased but stopped his story. Quest Ancient Heroes I has been completed, quest reward is sent to the inventory. Ancient Heroes 2 quest acquired. Adrian did not look at the new quest since he was still listening to the Dullahan and he did not want to be inconsiderate. He will also look at the reward later. Adrian then urged the Dullahan to continue. As I was saying, we were escaping the pursuit of the corruptant's acolytes. The acolytes are inhabitants of this world that was tempted by the power that the corruptants held. The acolytes were the reason that the battle was hardly won. The acolytes kept summoning breaches or portals that the corruptants used. They kept on pouring until Asmodeans sacrificed their lives to prevent breaches from occurring. Some of the acolytes managed to reach us, and with our Lord weakening by the minute, he was not able to help us in battle. So we suggested that it is better to be sealed in a special cavern with the remnant itself to prevent the acolytes from getting their hands on it. Though our Lord did not want our conclusion, we already steeled our resolve, thus he did it unwillingly. Our Lord used his remaining life force and sealed us in this cavern, but an acolyte managed to change the seal that our Lord cast. That blasted acolyte transformed us into undead, but he also paid the price by turning into one as well. That acolyte became a gravekeeper. He is in an altar located below ground from our location. He has been spending countless years unlocking the seal that was placed by our Lord. Since the acolytes were considerably powerful and our Lord seeing his seal being tampered, our Lord added a condition that only low-powered people can enter in this barrier. I beseech you, young Asmodean, please help me kill that gravekeeper. If you do, I will let you have my master's inheritance, since you are a promising summoner yourself. Quest notification: the Dullahan wants you to kill the gravekeeper that is trying to unleash the seal of the remnant. Kill the gravekeeper and let the souls of the fallen forgotten warriors achieve peace. Quest difficulty: a clear condition. Kill the gravekeeper. Reward: inheritance. Adrian was shocked. An inheritance usually means a deviation from the standard job class advancement. Job class advancement deviations are better because they offer something special rather than the common job advancements. It is better because other players will not know of your skills, since it is like a hidden job class if termed based on past RPGs. Adrian accepted the quest and the Dullahan thanked him. Thank you, young Asmodean, but you are not strong enough to confront the gravekeeper, thus I will help you by giving you my spirit essence, the Dullahan said, but Adrian got a bit hurt by the Dullahan's honest opinion. Player Equinox has been equipped with temporary passive Warrior Spirit skill. Warrior Spirit effect. Doubles the strength stat of wielder. Enemies damaged by 10% of their total health are dealt 3% more damage of their total health. The passive was overpowered, but that also meant another thing: the enemy will definitely not be easy. The next boss must be very difficult if this was the passive skill he was given temporarily. Adrian decided to distribute his remaining stat points, since every little bit of damage dealt would be useful from his guess. Name: Equinox race. Deimos, Quarter Asmodean, species. Imp, Lesser Demon, title. Champion of the Twin Gods job. Summoner LVL. 14 EXP 0/100% HP 500/500 MP 350/350 VIT. 20 plus 5 STR, 13 plus 10 25 plus 10 int. 25 plus 20 AGI. 20 plus 10 Dex. 20 plus 15 End. 18 available stat points. 0 skills. Job skills, expand, active skills, expand, passive skills, expand, racial skill. Origin magic, expand. He poured the remaining stat points in strength since it was doubled for this circumstance. As soon as he was ready, the Dullahan made some symbols in mid-air and the floor 2 meters away from then crumbled and revealed stairs leading underground. Chapter 34. The Gravekeeper. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With stairs appearing, Adrian once again checked his status and his soulbound statuses before going down. The stairs go down in a spiral with skulls that adorn the walls and some that give off light through the eye sockets. The group spent good couple of minutes going down the long spiral staircase. At the end of the staircase, there is a wide area with an altar that has a floating stone tablet with markings that cannot be seen by Adrian because it was far away from him. Next to the tablet there was a ghostly figure that hugs it as if protecting the fragment. Near the foot of the altar is a being that is wearing a robe and is casting magic spells trying to break the seal. The spells not only were ineffective but did not even as much scratch the barrier. Adrian was observing the situation while walking closer to the altar. When he was about 5 meters away from the altar, the gravekeeper suddenly spoke to him in a raspy tone. "It has been a long time since we had guests. I hope our place has been very welcoming to you," the gravekeeper said. Adrian got shocked but responded with, "It's okay, a bit stuffy though, but great reception by the way." Adrian said in a sarcastic tone. The gravekeeper then turned and faced Adrian. The gravekeeper's face was rotten with no skin present in his face, but it was all muscle that is rotting. His robe was worn down. His eyes are just hollow sockets that glow in a yellow light. The gravekeeper was adorned with gold ornaments that was dusted by dirt that gave the impression that it was worn by at least a century. Every time the gravekeeper breathes, you can see the breath he takes, which indicates that it must be cold breath. It seems an Asmodean is here. You are godsend, Goops. I already abandoned the gods that the rest of this world is serving. It was a choice that I never regretted, as I have been blessed with so much power that it is intoxicating," the gravekeeper said while laughing maniacally as if he was drunk. Adrian did not idle when he was walking closer to the altar. He kept casting quantum space mines and bombarded the area with invisible space mines. He did that also while listening to the gravekeeper's story, because when he inspected the gravekeeper, he became apprehensive. Monster. Gravekeeper, weakened, LVL. HP, 100000/100000 Nav OM description. An acolyte for the corrupt ants that was turned into a gravekeeper by his spell corrupting the seal placed on the remnant of the corrupt ants. Stats other than vitality is weakened due to the unique nature of the seal placed in the forgotten cemetery. Adrian was only half paying attention to what the gravekeeper was rambling, as he was more focused on filling the room with space mines that would detonate when the enemy is near. Surely, the gravekeeper name is not just for seal breaking. Adrian could not see other monsters around the boss, but that doesn't mean they are not there. It seems the boss was almost done in its monologue. "Your blood, young Asmodean, will be the trigger for the seal on the remnant to disperse. With the seal gone, I will become free and be able to reconnect with the corrupt ants and reclaim our right to rule this world," the gravekeeper shouted with an excited tone, and he started chanting magic spells. The ground started to shake a bit and hands started erupting from the floors. A few more minutes later and bodies of zombies can be seen. Zombie warriors that have rotting armors and rusty swords sprang up. The zombies were not charging towards Adrian's group but instead stood where they earthed from and waited further orders from the gravekeeper. "Unholy Bane," the gravekeeper chanted, and purple energy wrapped around the zombies and the zombies growled because they were empowered. The gravekeeper then ordered, "Charge my minions, give me the body of that Asmodean. He will be the undoing of his race's hard work." Wahahaha. Will I actually bleed since I am technically still a player? I would probably just respawn at the room above when I die here. Adrian thought deviously. As soon as the zombies charged towards Adrian, he detonated all the space mines that was in the vicinity. The zombies were bombarded and was dealt immediately with high damage. When a zombie was dealt with 10% its maximum HP, a Dullahan silhouette appeared on top of him and did an attack animation that is similar to its 360-degree spear swing. The silhouette was seen dozens of times until the zombie horde was thinned out. You can see Adrian's face in ecstasy as he could hear his experience bar rising. When the gravekeeper saw this, it became furious and tried casting spells, but Adrian detonated space mines at its face which cancelled the spell casting, which infuriated the gravekeeper even further. The gravekeeper started firing spells that did not need to be chanted and fire these spells indiscriminately that even hit his own zombie hordes. Adrian smirked and commanded his soulbounds, "Sirius, use Howl and follow up with Phantom Rush. Canlayan, use Fire Dragon's Breath and light this place on fire." Canlayan's skill was rebalanced due to him hitting above level 10. Now the skill is like this. Skill. Fire Dragon's Breath Effect. Spew elemental breath damage for 10 seconds. This skill will not go in cooldown unless all the breath duration is used. Cooldown 30 seconds. Chapter 35. Zombie Dragon. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The zombies that were charging to Adrian became ashes as soon as the zombies charged. The fire breath of Canlayan proved to be very fatal since zombies or other undead are weak to fire that are very hot or have divine properties. Although Canlayan is low-leveled, he was still a dragon. The hundreds of enemies keep falling due to the skills of Adrian and his soulbounds. Adrian see his experience bar rising steadily and he leveled up twice because of the number of enemies but lost all his mana in the process. He chugged a medium MP potion to fill his mana back to half, which he did begrudgingly since medium MP potions were expensive and the price is still steadily rising. He thought maybe he could get the alchemist sub job to minimize his burden. Player Equinox has leveled up, Sirius has leveled up, Canlayan has leveled up, Canlayan has leveled up. The zombies are all cleared because of Adrian and his soulbounds, but the Gravekeeper is still alive. As soon as the last zombie fell, Adrian bolted towards the Gravekeeper. Monsters that are good at magic have great magic resistance but low physical resistance, which is the reason Adrian opted to do physical damage. He sprung to his feet like a cannonball towards the Gravekeeper, further propelled himself using his wings. He dealt great damage to the Gravekeeper when his fist connected with the Gravekeeper's face. Gravekeeper. 1000 HP. The Gravekeeper has been paralyzed due to phenomenal force. With the Gravekeeper stunned, Adrian commanded Sirius and Canlayan to help him deal damage. Due to the Gravekeeper's body that could bleed, Sirius dealt massive damage to the boss. As soon as the boss monster's body went to 70% HP, a shock wave rang out and pushed back Adrian and his soulbounds. The Gravekeeper suddenly screamed and shadows suddenly covered its body and formed a cloak while it levitated in mid-air. The staff that it was carrying elongated and a blade protruded. The staff now became a scythe. This transformation meant that the boss monster was at phase 2. The Gravekeeper then spoke to Adrian in a mocking tone. It seems you are better than I imagined, but you will meet your end today. Once I kill you, I will entrap your soul for eternity and torture you for a millennium. The Gravekeeper flew towards Adrian in a fast speed. The Gravekeeper was suddenly fast and turned to a warrior or like an assassin because of its speed. Adrian did not predict its speed but managed to prepare if the Gravekeeper suddenly closed the distance. He placed space mines near him, fearing this situation, and detonated them when the boss monster was in the area of effect. Due to the explosion, the Gravekeeper flinched and was again bombarded with attacks by Adrian's soulbounds. The Gravekeeper screamed in pain and swung its scythe without a pattern. It managed to damage Adrian and his soulbounds but was not able to threaten them. Adrian was now getting used to using the talons or claws that the Demi-gauntlets get when it's supersized. He would dig out the flesh. The Gravekeeper and the boss monster would screech loudly that deafened Adrian's ears, but Adrian held on and kept attacking until another shock wave blew him and his soulbounds away when the Gravekeeper's health reached 10%. The Gravekeeper stood up and gave Adrian a menacing stare and spoke. You have angered me, infidel. I would have trampled on you like a bug if it was not for this damn barrier that your ancestor created. You left me no choice since you kept resisting. I did not idle by the last couple hundred years breaking the barrier without effort. I managed to open a small crack but a damn lizard exited instead, but I managed to make it into an undead. Tremble before it. As soon as the Gravekeeper finished saying those words, it started chanting and a huge magic circle appeared on the ground. Adrian and his soulbounds could not move because this was meant to happen in the story of the mission. Adrian frowned because the difficulty soared again because the Gravekeeper is summoning another monster. As the monster was summoned, Adrian was still confident because the Gravekeeper said that it was a lizard, but Adrian forgot that it was a lizard by the Gravekeeper's standards. He completely forgot that the Gravekeeper was a powerful being before being weakened by the seal. The magic circle started shining in an ominous green light and the monster was now summoned. Adrian's confidence suddenly plummeted because when he inspected the lizard it was not a lizard at all. Monster. Abyss Zombie Dragon, weakened, LVL. HP, 100000/100000 Description. A once mighty dragon that roamed the skies and the seas but was changed to an undead by the power of a sorcerer. Able to use ice breath due to its nature as a water dragon that live in the deep ocean abyss but is now weakened. Due to being a zombie, poison attacks have been added to its elemental breath. Has brittle bones due to living for a long time and not strengthened by its new master. Adrian's face paled because he was running low on potions, but he was stunned because the Abyss Zombie Dragon's mouth opened and roared towards the Gravekeeper. Chapter 36. Inheritance. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. While Adrian was waiting for combat to start, he was shown a glimpse of the past, in other words a cut scene. In the cut scene, he saw the Gravekeeper manage to crack the barrier, but the Abyss Dragon slipped through the cracks and repaired the damage to the barrier using its life force. The Gravekeeper was so infuriated that it struck the dragon with its magic and cursed the Abyss Dragon by turning it into an undead. The Gravekeeper sealed the dragon but never summoned it again because he was sure that the Abyss Dragon would be put under its control. Now the situation is different. The Abyss Dragon bit the Gravekeeper, killing the Gravekeeper in the process, but the Gravekeeper retaliated with magic and damaged the Abyss Zombie Dragon, leaving only half of its original 100,000 health. When the Abyss Zombie Dragon killed the Gravekeeper and threw its dead body to the side like a rag doll. Now the Abyss Zombie Dragon looked at Adrian. Adrian's body can now move, meaning the new boss monster for this dungeon would be the Abyss Zombie Dragon. The Dullahan spoke to Adrian. The majestic Abyss Dragon my master has once tamed was corrupted by that vile creature. It was a good thing the dragon killed him first, but now its fangs are pointing at us. Young Asmodean, I will use the last of my soul's essence to fight with you to the end. The Abyss Zombie Dragon is now berserk because that Gravekeeper was not properly able to brainwash it. It can no longer differentiate friend from foe. I will help you put its noble soul to rest. I will do my best. Invigorate, Adrian replied. Adrian healed his soul bounds and managed to drink a health potion before the Abyss Zombie Dragon lunged at him. When the dragon was only a few meters near Adrian, the Dullahan flew out from his body and blocked the dragon with its body. Adrian lost the passive when the Dullahan left his body but still did his best. Serious Phantom Rush. Canlayan, use Fire Dragon's Breath whenever you can. Adrian shouted. Sirius vanished and stared, popping out of nowhere, hitting the Abyss Zombie Dragon. Canlayan was aiming its breath at the Abyss Zombie Dragon when it suddenly shook of the Dullahan and fired its breath towards Canlayan. The mixture of ice, poison and fire created a steam explosion and released a shock wave that interrupted Sirius' skill and blew Canlayan. Adrian and his soulbounds were damaged by the explosion, but the Dullahan spear eerily glowed red. The Dullahan threw its spear towards the Abyss Zombie Dragon, reducing its health by 10%. Adrian then noticed the concept of this boss fight. It was not for the player to kill the boss, but the player must distract it so that the Dullahan could deal a killing blow, since when Sirius tried to damage the dragon, the damage only numbered in the tens. Sirius, Canlayan, distract the Abyss Zombie Dragon. Mr. Dullahan would be the one to aim for the kill. Adrian commanded. The spear was still stuck on its bone that the Dullahan threw it to. Adrian's new objective was to take back the spear. So he flew towards it without hesitation. The Abyss Zombie Dragon seemed to notice Adrian and roared. Just the wind pressure from the roar caused Adrian unable to remain steady in flight. Adrian then asked the Dullahan when can he perform the spear throw, and the Dullahan answered with 5 minutes. Adrian must hold up for 20 more minutes so that the Dullahan could finish off the Abyss Zombie Dragon. Adrian tried to once again retrieve the spear, but the Abyss Zombie Dragon was not letting him, so he ordered Canlayan to coil up the Abyss Zombie Dragon to impede its movement. Canlayan coiled its body with the Abyss Zombie Dragon even though it was half the size of it. The Abyss Zombie Dragon was struggling to move, then Canlayan fired its breath at it and a scream of pain was heard. Canlayan was able to take 2% of its HP with one breath, which is already a lot considering the high health of the Abyss Zombie Dragon. The Abyss Zombie Dragon was about to fire its breath when Sirius suddenly summoned a portal in front of it and dove into it, while another portal appeared above the head of the Abyss Zombie Dragon, which Sirius emerged and clawed the eyes of the Abyss Zombie Dragon. The breath attack that the Abyss Zombie Dragon was cancelled as it was in pain. Sirius learned Portal Assault. Sirius managed to learn another skill which delighted Adrian, but he still focused himself towards the boss monster. Adrian managed to retrieve the spear and toss it to the Dullahan. The Abyss Zombie Dragon managed to shake of Canlayan, but the spear once again glowed red and the Dullahan struck its neck this time. The Abyss Zombie Dragon was not able to scream in pain because of the spear and was stunned. Adrian and his soulbounds bombarded the boss monster while it was stunned. The Abyss Zombie Dragon was thrashing about when the stun wore off and damaged Canlayan and Sirius critically. Adrian's soulbounds were out of stamina and could no longer stand up properly. Well, in Canlayan's case, fly properly. The Abyss Zombie monster has only 15% of its health left, so Adrian charged towards the spear in an attempt to retrieve it, but was flicked like bug with the Abyss Zombie Dragon's tail, which critically injured Adrian. The Dullahan then glowed and its blue flame surrounded its body and said something to Adrian. Young Asmodean, I will sacrifice my remaining soul force to deal with the Abyss Zombie Dragon. When I am holding it down, plunge the spear deeper into its reverse scale to finish it off. Adrian only nodded. The Dullahan jumped and landed at the back of the head of the Abyss Zombie Dragon. Its blue flame spread out and burned the Abyss Zombie Dragon's body. The Abyss Zombie Dragon tried to throw off the Dullahan but was unable to because of the strong grip. Adrian flew far away in order to build momentum and started running and shot off like a comet. Adrian also used his wings to propel him further and faster forward. The Abyss Zombie Dragon saw Adrian but was unable to dodge because the Dullahan's flame became even hotter. Adrian put his right fist forward while keeping his left fist near his shoulder. When he was nearing the spear, a notification popped up. Player Equinox learned Assault Charge, skill. Assault Charge effect. Deals 100% to 250% physical damage to the target dependent on the distance traversed. Cooldown. 5 minutes. Adrian smiled, but the Abyss Zombie Dragon's eyes showed terror. The boss monster tried to once again shrug off the Dullahan but was unable to. Fierce determination showed in Adrian's eyes as he used both fists in front to plunge the spear deeper. The Abyss Zombie Dragon's eyes showed clarity and looked at Adrian with eyes of appreciation in its final moments. The Dullahan, now achieving its goal, went near Adrian with its armor creaking and bowed to Adrian and thanked him. The inheritance is there at the altar. Please keep the relic safe in place of my master. Though the burden is great, I wish you would forever keep it safe. Keep my master's legacy living by using his inheritance. Thank you, brave young Asmodean, the Dullahan said as his armor finally broke and he returned to dust. Chapter 37. Accepting the Inheritance. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Numerous system messages filled Adrian's vision as he sat down on the ground and looked at his soulbounds that are injured. Adrian sealed them for the time being as there was no longer danger. He now looked at the system prompt messages. Player Equinox has leveled up, Sirius has leveled up, Canlayan has leveled up, Canlayan has leveled up, Player Equinox has leveled up, Sirius has leveled up, Canlayan has leveled up, Undead Killer title has been acquired, Liberator of the Forgotten title has been acquired. Adrian took a quick peek at the effects of the titles. Title: Undead Killer effect. Deals 50% more damage to undead type enemies. Recovers health equivalent to 10% of damage dealt to undead. Title: Liberator of the Forgotten effect. All stats plus 50. The title effects was very nice, especially the Liberator of the Forgotten title that added a lot of stats. 50 stats is about more or less 8 levels. Now he knows why the quest was very difficult, but the reward was worth it. Adrian first went towards the corpse of the Gravekeeper to get his quest item. Acquired quest item, Undying Heart of the Gravekeeper, acquired Ring of the Corrupted, acquired Earring of the Corrupted, acquired Map of the Fallen. Adrian checked the items in order to check. Item. Ring of the Corrupted, set item, tier. Epic effect. INT plus 20 set effect. 20% skill cooldown reduction Noel.n item. Earring of the Corrupted, set item, tier. Epic effect. DX plus 20 set effect. 20% skill cooldown reduction item. Map of the Fallen effect. Consumed when used. When used, player will acquire the link quest Path of the Fallen. The accessories were very much helpful towards Adrian, especially the set effect for the ring and the earring, which is giving him 20% skill cooldown reduction. What really made Adrian happy is the Map of the Fallen item, which generates a quest. Usually linked quests like these are rare, and the harder the quest the greater the reward. Now feeling jubilant, Adrian headed towards the Abyss Dragon corpse. He does not expect much from the corpse because it was only a boss phase and the Dullahan heavily damaged the boss, not Adrian. Adrian reached his hand out to the Abyss Zombie Dragon's corpse. Acquired Epic Skill Book, Abyss Dragon Breath, degraded, acquired Abyss Dragon Essence. Adrian's hands were shaking as he got the items from the Abyss Zombie Dragon's corpse. He hurriedly checked the item descriptions in order to clear his doubts. Item. Abyss Dragon Breath, degraded, Skill Book tier. Epic conditions. Magic Job class effect. Fires a concentrated beam of cold energy in a straight line of damaging enemies for 500% of magic damage. Induces frostbite for mage classes specialized in ice magic. Mana. 1500 MP chant. 10 seconds cooldown. 2 hours item. Abyss Dragon Essence tier. Mythical description. The essence of one of the pinnacle species of water dragons that rules over water and its superior element ice. Effect. Adds qualities of the Abyss Dragon. Conditions. Dragon type Soulbound or Advanced Blacksmith Mastery. Adrian's hands were trembling with excitement. It seems he managed to get an item that could give Canlayan another attribute, but he needed to be sure first, so he would ask Pan when he returns to the Paradox Plane. Adrian was overjoyed about the Abyss Dragon Essence but not the skill book because he could not use it anyway. He would probably just sell it like the Queen Bee Soul Stone so he could get money to pay for the game bills and maybe end his 8-hour gaming probation. Adrian took a deep breath and walked towards the Asmodean ghost that is hugging the fragment like his life depended on it. He moved his hand towards the barrier, and instead of his hand stopping at the barrier's boundary, his hand went through, so he entered the barrier. When Adrian entered the barrier, the ghost suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Adrian and assessed him. The ghost then spoke to Adrian. "Young one, for you to enter here and defeat the Gravekeeper must have taken all of your power." "Who are you?" Adrian asked. "I have long forgotten my name, for I have been trapped here for countless years and my soul fuels this barrier that the Gravekeeper damages every time. Every time the barrier is breached, I use my soul to repair it so that the Corruptant's lackeys do not sense the relic or get it. This relic is just a part of 3. The other guardians also fled the battle when we managed to seal the breach that the Corruptants made to our world," the ghost replied. Adrian listened intensely to the ghost's story so that he could properly piece together the story so far. Adrian wondered that when he changed races he did not trigger for other players to become a part of the Deimos race, which means he must probably liberate the Deimos race from the persecution of humanity or band together the other races descendant to Asmodeans. Adrian was having wild thoughts when the ghost popped his concentration by saying something. "Young one, I ask of you to guard this relic instead of me, for my soul is weary and would not last any longer if I keep the relic in this place. In return I would give you my inheritance. Do you accept?" the ghost asked. Adrian thought sincerely if he should and nodded because the world view might change if he did not accept. Since he was sent back in time but did not know when, he could potentially damage the timeline by accepting the quest. Yet Adrian knows when to take risks, and this was one he was willing to gamble. From what the Dullahan said, his master was powerful, and also not anyone would be entrusted with guarding a relic if they were not strong, which means the class could be more powerful than he imagined. You would not regret your decision. I will mask the powers of the relic so that it would not be detected by the Corruptant's followers, but be warned that the relic pieces resonate with each other. The ghost said. With a flick of his hand, the barrier coated the relic instead of the area, and the ghost said farewell to Adrian. The floor vibrated and a treasure chest was seen rising from the floor. Adrian opened the treasure chest and his eyes sparkled. Chapter 38. World Message. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Adrian opened the treasure chest and it consists of 4 things. A robe, a skill book, a blue crystal crown, and what looks like a red potion. Adrian first inspected the robe and was surprised and a bit disappointed at the same time. Item. Asmodean Battle Uniform, Growth Type, Character Bound, Tier. Uncommon Effect. Physical Damage Reduction. 10% Magical Damage Reduction. 10% HP plus 500 slots. 1. Empty. 2. Empty. 3. Empty Conditions. Asmodean lineage. The robe is reminiscent of a Victorian-era suit that is colored purple with streams of black, which makes it fashionable. The buttons are colored gold and the inner garment is white. The only thing missing is a top hat to complete the whole Victorian-era look. The neckline has a small silver chain that connects it to the other side. Although the fashion is not Adrian's strong point, he appreciates the look of the attire. He loves the damage negation effect, but is saddened that the attire needs to be fed tons of armor to get its tier up, which would be very hard on the pockets. Nevertheless, he has so many uncommon armors stored in his inventory because of the number of zombies. Adrian hopes it's enough to at least get the tier up condition. Epic armors are usually easily available in level 100 or above dungeons, that is why only top rankers are the only ones to wear them. Adrian then inspected the skill book next and he shouted with excitement. Name. Vortex. Tier. Legendary effect. Creates a black hole above the caster that pulls in enemies in a circumference of 50 meters. The closer to the black hole, the stronger the pulling force. Deals 300% magic damage to all enemies pulled per second and stuns them for the duration of the skill. Duration. 10 seconds cast time. 30 seconds mana cost. 2000 MP cooldown. 3 hours conditions. Deimos. Adrian was jumping with joy because of the skill book. He finally has a legendary skill. Although he could not use it yet, it was only a matter of items. His MP now, thanks to his equipment and titles, is 1500. He would be able to use the skill by level 30. He also needs to learn more skills with low cooldown so that he could spam more skills towards enemies. He now learned his weakness towards his fight today and would treat it as a learning experience. Adrian hurriedly touched the skill book and a prompt appeared. Do you wish to learn the skill Vortex? Yes or no? The skill book turned to light and permeated to Adrian's body. Successfully learned the active skill Vortex. Adrian then inspected the crown to look at the item specs. The crown is made out of blue crystal that has no flaw in workmanship. The crown has 3 spikes with the middle spike the largest. The crystal ringlet is smooth and has no edges, while the 3 spikes are diamond shaped with symmetrical cuts. Item. Omega Summoner Inheritance Consumable. Job Class Advancement Path. Item Description. In the beginning, when the creation of the universe was too erratic, the Omega Force picked an Asmodean to carry out its destruction to balance the forces of the universe. Once consumed, the job advancement path for Omega Summoner will unlock. Each path will introduce missions to unlock each job advancement. Job Class Path. Soul Summoner Eclipse Summoner Omega Summoner Condition. First job class Summoner. Adrian was pleased by the inheritance because it was a hidden job class advancement and has a specific path for the 4th job class advancement, unlike the regular job classes. Of course, having a job class advancement with a path is not easy because the third job advancement requirement was very difficult, which is one of the reasons why the current rank 1 player is still in his second job class. Nevertheless, the higher the difficulty, the greater the rewards. Adrian is dreaming of becoming a ranker someday. Adrian did not activate the crown first because he was curious about the vial that is in the chest. Item: Asmodean Blood Tear. Transcendent consumable effect. Gives the user 25% Asmodean bloodline if the user is Asmodean. An amazing binding agent for alchemy that increases the success rate of alchemy by 77%. Conditions. Asmodean lineage or alchemist Adrian was speechless that what he thought was an HP potion was actually Asmodean blood. With this item he would transform to a half-Asmodean, which would make him 50% immune to status effects. He was so speechless that he stared blankly to the vial for a minute before he started to cry. He was very happy that he was very lucky in this game, and maybe all the hardships he faced in life led to this moment of luck. It was a good thing he did not try to abandon the mission even though it seemed impossible. He promised himself that he would work hard in anything he puts his mind into. First, Adrian activated the inheritance so that he could start with the missions that would be generated by the inheritance. Do you wish to use the Omega Summoner inheritance? Yes or no? Adrian said yes and proceeded to drink the Asmodean blood. Adrian's body was lifted up into the air without using his flight skill, and the crown started materializing on top of his head when his heart suddenly ached and was beating loud. He was suddenly assaulted with pain even though the pain felt is dialed down to the minimum. He then heard the voice of the system. Assimilating Omega Summoner inheritance for 5 minutes, assimilating Asmodean blood for 1 minute. Adrian could not believe that he would experience pain for 1 minute. He started screaming while in mid-air and was unable to hear the world message that was conveyed to all players of the game. The protector of the world has chosen his champion that would succeed in his glory. All inhabitants of Pandemonium rejoice and beware, for it is the beginning of the end. Chapter 39. Second Job Advancement Requirements. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As Adrian was experiencing pain, the whole Pandemonium gaming community was in giant uproar. Countless media personnel that was logged in the game, logged out so that they could write articles to their tabloids for a world message. Was a very special event that changes the world view of the game. World messages appeared only a couple of times, like when the first ranked player managed to unlock the race for Dragonkin. For a world messages topic about a single player, that means this player's choices could potentially warp the setting of events. If the player chosen is a dubious person, the player could potentially push the world to destruction. Of course that will less likely to happen, but the media outlets would focus on the negative side of the spectrum instead of the positive side. The forums were outraged by the world message because one player could control the flow of the game, but in essence they were just jealous because they were not the ones the world message implied. Thousands of people are even online watching Pandemo News with dozens of comments containing what is the protector of the world, and even conspiracy theories that say that it was an AI, not a player, that activated the event. The media outlets even invited game experts to analyze the phrases of the world message. The world message made the whole world explode with ideas and controversy. While the whole world was in full debate about the world message, the one who triggered the message did not even hear it due to the intense pain that he experienced. The game Pandemonium even replicated the sweating function, and Adrian sweated a lot. As soon as Adrian composed himself and took a deep breath, he heard a system prompt. Player Equinox successfully activated the Omega Summoner inheritance. Above Adrian's head a crown can be seen floating. If someone saw him right now, they could mistake him for a prince minus the horns. Adrian checked the requirements to change into his second job class. Soul Summoner Advancement Requirements. 1. Acquire 3 Soulbound. 2. Acquire Weapons Mastery Passive. 3. Acquire the Whales of the Moor from the Silvermoor Banshee. The Silvermoor Banshee is a boss monster in the field dungeon of the Silvermoor, which is very tricky to spawn because of conditions, and the monsters are even in the range of level 20 to level 25. The 3 soulbounds were not a problem because the base summoner job can have 3 soulbounds max. With his job advancement he could get an additional 2 soulbound slots. His main problem is the weapons mastery because he does not know where to get that in the Paradox Plains. He would ask Askelaur later if he knows where he could acquire it. As he was busy thinking of his future plans, he suddenly remembered the relic that was still left floating. As soon as he grabbed the relic, a system prompt appeared again. Quest Ancient Heroes 2 has been accomplished. Acquired Upgrade Stone Reward. Quest Ancient Heroes 3 has been added in the quest log. Adrian was flabbergasted. He managed to clear a major quest without even checking the quest objectives itself, so he was surprised. He checked the details of his previous and newly generated quest. Ancient Heroes 2 The twin gods, Gia and Abaddon, wants you to search and acquire clues of the relics that was used to seal the breach that the Corruptants used to traverse to this universe. Make sure that the relic is safe and guarded if you ever find it. Clear condition. Find any details of the relics and make sure it is guarded. Reward. Upgrade Stone Quest Notification Ancient Heroes 3 The twin gods, Gia and Abaddon, are pleased that you managed to get one of the 3 relics used to seal the breach made by the Corruptants. Now they want you to find traces of the undead king and find the group of acolytes that plans to revive him. Clear conditions. Find traces of the undead king and acolytes. Reward. Weapon Enhancement Stones X10. Adrian was astounded that the next reward was Weapon Enhancement Stones because right now these are very scarce in the markets because the top guilds usually hoard them, and now each stone cost about 100 gold. Adrian is really pumped in finding clues and finishing this particular quest, but first he needs to get out of this dungeon first. When he put the relic in his inventory, Coran's voice could be heard from the portal that appeared and Adrian cleared the dungeon. "I'm going, just wait, old man," Adrian said, unsure if Coran would actually hear him. When Adrian left the dungeon collapsed as if a magnitude 9 earthquake hit it, and all the clues of the battle or the Gravekeeper is now buried forever and never to be seen again. Adrian now already changed some of the events in the timeline and he did not know he would produce a butterfly effect. Chapter 40. But wait, there's more. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Adrian now returned to Coran's abode and was given the quest reward of an epic chronomancy skillbook. Adrian looked at the skillbook and did a victory dance and only stopped when Coran was looking at him funny. Name. Rewind tier. Epic effect. Rewinds the time for a selected area with a circumference of 3 meters. All skills used and health loss or gained will be returned to the state it was 10 seconds before the spell was cast. Can revive fallen comrades to 10% health if used towards fallen allies, and the allies must be revived within 3 seconds upon the ally's death. Cannot be used to revive NPCs. Cooldown. 3 hours cast time. Instant. Mana. 1000 MP. Adrian bid Coran goodbye because he does not want to be asked again to complete by this eccentric old man. Coran basically sent him to death's door with the quest. Adrian speculated that he must have triggered a special quest because of his job class, and he spoke of Askelaur's name. Adrian was skipping happily because of the skill book when his alarm rang to inform him that only 1 minute was left to his daily connection time. Adrian used the skill book and would just summon the soulbound tomorrow. Do you wish to learn the skill book rewind? Yes or no? Adrian then logged out of the game unknown to the events that he stirred up. Marlon then contacted Adrian that the chairman of Atlas Incorporated will have a special announcement about the game, so the former told him to watch the live broadcast. Equals 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 equals. Following the events of the world message, tons of requests poured into Atlas Incorporated to explain the world message. The game Pandemonium is now very popular that it dwarfed all other VRMO games that was produced. It is not an exaggeration to say that Pandemonium is now the leading game worldwide with no plausible competition. This was also the reason that items in-game could be very expensive and even reach millions depending on the item specs, which is one of the reason that high rankers are very wealthy because they are delving into higher level dungeons and hunting grounds. In a conference room, many news outlets from all over the world have coalesced and is waiting for the chairman of Atlas Incorporated, Howard Smith, who is now the most influential person in the world due to the game Pandemonium. Dozens of camera flashes flooded the area when a man with brown hair and blue eyes that is dressed in a gray suit that was probably custom made by one of the top designers of the world. Behind the man are a group of people with different nationalities. These people are the brains of the game of Pandemonium. The chairman of Atlas Incorporated searched for people all over the world to accomplish his vision, and his search bore fruit because Pandemonium was born from that vision. There are dozens of speculations that Chairman Smith is probably not human but an advanced android or an alien from outer space because he managed to do the impossible of implementing the sense of taste in the game. When Chairman Smith stood in the podium, he radiated an aura of dignity that calmed the restlessness of the reporters in the room. Chairman Smith then talked about the situation and explained what the gathered crowd here and all the viewers wanted to know. I am aware that all of you are alarmed of the world message that indicated that someone has gained something. For the privacy of the player, we of Atlas Incorporated will not reveal the identity of the player in question because we respect every Pandemonium player's privacy. When Chairman Smith said that phrase, some reporters frowned but immediately recovered because they are professionals in the news business. Even if they would not be told of the player's identity, it does not mean they could not get a big scoop. Also, if the player remained anonymous, it would generate more buzz around the player in question. Of course, me and my team will not leave you empty-handed. As you have learned, a player could generate a world message when they have unlocked something. The player in question managed to acquire a unique class that is only available to a player once. Just as there are unique monsters that only show up once, there are also unique job classes that is only available once, but of course that does not mean that the players who acquire those classes are invincible, but that they would only have skills available to that job class. As soon the chairman was done talking, the reporters again made a buzz because they wanted to be picked for a follow-up question. Even the internet viewers were buzzing about the information that was given to them. Some viewers were thrilled that there were more job classes like that, and they fantasized that they would be the next one to unlock a unique job class. There were also some people who likes to pour cold water on the delusions of the dreamers that if a unique class was so easy to unlock, then why was it only unlocked when a year has passed, and that would be 3 years in game. Chairman Smith then pointed to a Korean news reporter so that he could answer the reporter's question. Other reporters frowned because they were not chosen first, but they did not show their dismay and had a business smile still plastered in their face. Chairman Smith, if what you say is true, then can you honestly tell us how powerful this job class is and how many other unique classes there are? The reporter asked. For the balance of the game, a unique class can be said as powerful in the early phase of the game, but by the third stat awakening or level 300 the gap between the power of normal job classes and unique job classes will lessen. Still, a job class is only a tool to enhance the power of a player. The overall power of a player is still determined by the tactics and game control of a player. For example, Hoi Wei, who is the rank 1 player, was a normal class archer when he was dominating other players. Unique job classes are not only available to combat job classes but also the crafting job classes. For we of Atlas believes that there are no useless job class, only incompetent people. The internet started buzzing again because of what the chairman said. Even the craftsman players started typing the crying emoji and were glad that the chairman Smith himself acknowledges them. The broadcast lasted for 4 hours because of the enthusiastic questions of the reporters and some questions of lucky internet viewers. Due to this, Pandemonium again became more famous because of the big publicity that was given to it. Adrian and Marlon are also discussing the broadcast details. Adrian even said he was jealous of the player who unlocked the unique class, which is funny because he was the one who unlocked it, but ignorance is bliss. Marlon even expressed that he would be happy if he could even get a hidden job class and he would be happy. Adrian smiled wryly at Marlon's wish and he told himself that if he finds a job change token or a race change item he would give it to his best friend first and that would be the time he will tell him about his in-game character situation. Adrian bid goodnight to Marlon because he was very tired of the battle he experienced today. He might have not been physically exhausted but it was mentally taxing to be engaged in hours of battle. He guessed that his adrenaline was in full blast because of the enjoyable battle. Adrian tucked himself in bed with a smile on his face and was excited on the adventure he would face tomorrow. Chairman Smith was visibly exhausted by the end of the interview and was sitting in his office chair and no longer emitting the dignified aura he had when the interview was happening. Other people do not know much about the chairman but he is very happy that numerous people loved his creation. He liked viewing the progress of certain people who are giving their heart and soul towards the game he created. Deus, tell me the progress of the one who unlocked the unique class, Chairman Smith said, and the computer screen in front of him booted and showed Adrian's file. His full name is Adrian F. Dubois. His father is French while his mother is Filipino. His family owns decent businesses and the most famous is a Filipino restaurant. He just installed Pandemonium a week ago. He was also in an accident that paralyzed his legs but he is undergoing recovery. He is currently living in ASEAN. All Southeast Asian nations formed a super nation to become globally competitive that they rivaled big countries like USA and China, specifically in the Philippines. I did not expect that someone from a small country. I expected that it would have been someone from the United States like that person that we are currently observing. Deus, please add Adrian F. Dubois as a person of interest. Yes, father, the mechanical voice said.